The Hub. The Hub was a major department store in downtown Steubenville, Ohio. It always felt like it was the dead center of town. It's where you started Christmas shopping. When you needed one more present, that's where you went back to because they seemed to have everything at the time, anything that you would need then. It was about 6 or 8 stories tall and had a mezzanine in the basement, that little half floor. You would walk in, and there was a shoe shine guy, something that sounds ridiculous nowadays. And you would sit up on, sort of walk up onto this couch thing, a platform, and they would clean your shoes while you still wore them. We would run over to the rickety elevators and go up to the third floor. The Boy Scout and Cub Scout stuff was up there. We were fascinated by plaster of Paris molds. I don't know why. And you could get toys and everything. I remember as a little kid walking down the steps and Santa was on one of the landings, and it scared me so bad I ran away. And my father went over and was talking to him. I said, "What'd you say to him? You didn't screw things up, did you?" And he said, "No, I just told him you were shy." "Oh, okay, that'll be okay then." They had the greatest contest in the world. It was the treasure chest. And depending on how friendly your sales clerk was, you would get anywhere from 1 to 10 keys. And you'd go down to the mezzanine. There was a woman with these white gloves, and she would try the padlock. And if the padlock opened, they would open the treasure chest, and you'd pick out an envelope. And it opened for me one day, and I got a $5 gift certificate. Doesn't sound like much now, but to an 8-year-old boy in the early 70s, $5, you could actually buy something with $5. I remember agonizing for weeks what I would get. Christmas shopping was so crowded there. But you have to remember, the population of Steubenville was double the size. We didn't do Christmas shopping until the day after Thanksgiving, not early September. And people came from surrounding towns. And with double the population, and everybody always came on Friday and Saturdays because the men folk took the only car that the family had and went to work through the week. So everybody went down Friday and Saturdays and did all their shopping. So of course it was packed. They finally closed, and first they sold it. It was a company I think called Good or Goods, and that didn't last very long. And then they closed the doors. And Ronald Reagan, when he came for his first bid for president, he pointed over to the closed doors and he said, "See, that's the failed policies of Jimmy Carter." I think half the crowd moaned over it, but what are you going to do? I have very fond memories of the Hub and the downtown shopping experience. I had a very interesting childhood shopping in downtown Steubenville, but I don't know if I'd go back to it. I mean, you had to run your packages back to the car, which was 2 blocks away every time you bought something. All those diesel bus fumes everywhere, and people smoked everywhere, and it was cold, and you had those big heavy wool coats, and you'd walk in, and coats were heavier back then. They didn't have plastic fibers and things. You'd walk in to the Hub and it'd be all hot and you get all sweaty, and I think we make it more glamorous than it sounds shopping in these stores, but there is something very special about my memories, and I'm glad I got to have a childhood going to all the shopping places in downtown Steubenville. And that's the Hub.